Hello everyone, Birthday7 here back with more Bloons Tower Defense 6. Now I played a co-op boss balloon game with some of my subscribers. It was a pretty, I guess, fun match. I never actually done co-op bosses before, simply just because, well, I don't even do bosses normally. I do bosses normally, just because I have this channel. If I didn't, I probably wouldn't do them. I personally find boss balloons to be pretty boring, but that's besides the point. That's a topic for another day. So the original intent with this I guess run was to beat, I guess, just elite bloonarius with, only ninjas. That fell off the train or not fell off the train. That idea kind of just sunk almost immediately after tier 1. We were able to beat tier 1 with only ninjas. Tier 2, there's no way. You probably could if you farmed hard enough to like afford, ultra boost and whatever, but again, there's absolutely no way. So I was actually playing with 2 of my subscribers, and then I had my alt account on here simply just because, in order to really get high degree Paragon, like 80s and whatnot, you do need 4 players. You need to get 4 players to actually get a degree 100 Paragon, but of course, we didn't really get a degree 100 Paragon here. We didn't actually farm enough pops, I guess, just in the late game, so that was just kind of the reason why we didn't actually get degree 100, although it's pretty high degree though. So anyways, this was kind of a fun game. Playing, I guess just like co-op boss balloons, although it probably won't really do too much, especially not public. I can't imagine, like, yes, not having any communication with your players. So I guess if you're good enough in your experience, you'll probably figure out what your, I guess, fellow teammates are doing just by, like, seeing what they're actually, like, what tower's placing down. You could probably, like, guess they're going for, like, a true sun god if you see, like, supers and they start placing, a bunch of random towers around it. So I guess that's just kind of that. And you see my my teammates are placing down a bunch of 000 farms. That was actually kind of funny. You see, they didn't even go for like 200 to like upgrade to it immediately. But again, it's kind of whatever. Alright, so here comes tier 1 of bloonarius. Here it's basically just 2 sticky bombs, shinobi, and shinobi army, or I guess like a small shinobi army surrounded by a bloon jutsu, and hopefully that'd be enough to take out the SRAM wave. Sticky bomb male, I'm pretty sure, is like the meta currently. I guess, tax zone would also be a second option. A pretty good option. I know that in the early days of bloonarius, I think it was like sticky bomb male was the meta before tax zone was figured out, although I guess sticky bomb male is also just as good, so it's kind of whatever. So I wasn't 100% sure about these turret clusters, so I was planning to get a spike balls in the back, so one of my teammates got just a bloon jutsu in the back, although as you can see, we weren't as good with the ceramic wave as I hoped to. So here I was thinking, I was like, oh, we might actually die here, but I guess the ninjas in the front ended up popping all of them, which was incredibly lucky. That definitely wasn't going to work for the second skull, which was coming up pretty soon. Now, when I first did this, I didn't really realize that the bosses have more HP in co-op than they do normally, so I was looking at this and I was thinking, did bloonarius always have 80,000 HP? I feel like that's a bit too much for tier 1. Now, as I get spike pulse, my teammate ended up getting a glaive lord in the back, which was just pretty nice. That means I don't have to worry about the starting clusters anymore. So tier 1 was pretty much done. Again, it's just kind of a matter of waiting game. Sticky bomb only does, I think, what, 500 damage per bomb. Or I think it's something like that. I think it's 500. It's either 500 or 700 damage per bomb. Something around that sounds about correct. So it was just kind of a waiting game to just be able to pop bloonarius. It's one reason why I don't find boss balloons to be too fun, especially on elite. Elite bosses take forever to kill, and that can get pretty boring. But it's kind of whatever. All right, so after fast forwarding a bit, because again, there wasn't really too much going on. Bloonarius ends up going down, so that's tier 1 complete. Of course, you can beat tier 1 with only ninjas. I'm guessing you probably get up to tier 3 maybe, although I'm not 100% sure. I think, if you farmed hard enough, you definitely could, maybe afford something like Ultra Boost, Grandmaster. Just like, yeah, maybe an Ultra Boosted, Grandmaster with like Permabrew, but, we didn't actually go for all that. Alright, so for tier 2, I wasn't really 100% sure, you know, if Grandmaster was with like a few Shinobis was gonna be able to do it. I think maybe, you know, Mastodon would have been a better choice, but you know, Shinobi would have been better for, I guess, the BFB inside stuff Bloonarius is gonna end up spawning. So again, my first order of business was mainly just to make sure again we were actually good against the BFB insides. So getting a Glaive Lord up in the front, unfortunately, I couldn't actually afford it. I let my teammates do all the farming. I just kind of sat back. I probably should have farmed on my ult account, just like thinking back. Maybe I could have actually like afforded some stuff and like sent myself some money. But you know, I like looked and you know, we weren't actually gonna be able to make it. Grandmaster was not gonna be able to do enough damage. I mean, even like if you had boosts, I'm not even like maybe. Again, I'm not even sure if you'd be able to like do it even with like ultra boost. You definitely need a lot of support, but again, it's kind of whatever. Maybe I'll do it like I guess see if you can do it with only ninjas. Although, again, I am still questioning whether or not you can actually even afford all that by the time you know tier 2 comes around. So, and it was just kind of whatever. So I ended up selling pretty much all my ninjas just for a mad, so we can actually, you know, beat tier 2. As you know, the damage was not looking good well enough for you know, Grandmaster was not doing enough damage in order to actually beat Bloonarius. So my teammates are still, you know, just like kind of farming away. So, and it was just kind of a whatever thing. I wasn't really too worried about that. As again, we just need a Glaive Lord in the back. So here comes hole number 1, using the Mad's Rocket Storm ability almost immediately. Now Mad pops like all the BFBs into ceramics. So again, we just can't worry about that. I wasn't sure Ricochet was, or more glaives I should say, wasn't going to be enough, and more glaives wasn't actually enough. As you can see here, we do end up dying to the first ceramic cluster. Okay, so heading back where I guess sort of left off, we end up getting Glaive Lord. So again, that's pretty much all you need. Glaive Lord and Glaive Lord and Matt is actually what I personally used back in like the first few weeks of elite bosses. I did do elite bosses, you know, for like the first few weeks that they came out. But I think like after week 5, I just kind of stopped doing them. Sometimes I occasionally do it, but now I just like don't do it at all. As I just, yeah, like I said, you know, I don't find bosses to be that fun or enjoyable, so I just don't really do them. So yeah, you know, if you are struggling with elite bosses, you know, Mad and Glaive Lord is more than enough you need. As you can see, like, again, remember this is co-op, so, you know, the boss Bloon does have a lot more HP. This is 4-player co-op. I think, you know, the more players you have, the more HP that, the bosses have. So again, Mad is still taking down, like, a 480,000, you know, just, like, HP monster, like, by itself, with some, like, minor buffs. So, if you are struggling against, you know, like Bloonarius, you know, just get like Mad and Glaive Lord or something like in the back that can clean up ceramics really nicely. So with that, that is tier 2. We ended up getting a attack zone in Super Brittle in like the middle of the round, although that was kind of like towards the end of the round. I definitely do think you could easily be able to beat Bloonarius even with just a Mad. So here I'm setting up my temple for tier 3, because really that's probably the best option we have outside of, I guess, the Ninja Paragon. But you know, of course, do want to farm, you know, some pops with that. Even though, you know, probably could like straight up get Ninja Paragon right now if we wanted to, if we sold all the farms, but we didn't really do that. So tier 3, we got a temple in time and working on a ultra boost, as you can see down in the corner. Temple does need a lot of support actually in order to actually beat, you know, tier 3 of Bloonarius. Unfortunately for this week, all Paragons are banned except for Ninja. I'm not even sure why they like had all the non-Paragon towers capped at 2. Simply just because I can't really imagine like why, you know, you would need a limit on like mortars. I can't really imagine, you know, mortars being too like useful during Bloonarius, but it's kind of whatever. So I guess there's that, but you know, it's fine. So I guess like when all Paragons come out, maybe they'll reuse this week, because that'd be, I guess, semi cool to be limited to only like a few Paragons. Usually when you're doing elite bosses, you do want to have like a makeshift Dart Paragon by tier 3. That's like the fastest and easiest way in order to pop Bloonarius. You could do Temple, but you're gonna need like a lot of support. I'm pretty sure you need like max support in order to actually beat tier 3 with Sun Temple. So I guess there's that. Another reason why I don't really like elite bosses, you know, how restrictive they are. It's kind of the same strategy pretty much every week, except, you know, maybe NK might ban a certain Paragon Tower for that week, but, you know, that doesn't really change the strategy, you know, drastically or too much. That just means you have to kind of focus more so on one other Paragon than the other. You know, banning Dart and Boomer is like kind of meh. It doesn't really like change it too much, as like, you know, Boomerang Paragon is way underpowered for what it does. Boomer is definitely outclassed by pretty much all the other Paragons. I think it's probably, I'd probably say it's the weakest Paragon out of the 4 that we have right now. Maybe when Engineer Paragon, you know, when Engineer Paragon comes out, maybe Boomer will be better, but I kind of doubt that. And yes, NK did confirm that the next Paragon was going to be the Engineer Paragon, coming in at 31.0. So I guess we'll see if, you know, engineers only can beat Bloonarius. That'd be pretty fun to do. So by now we kind of realize that yeah, Temple's not gonna be enough. So we're actually working on a makeshift ninja Paragon. You can see we only got like 2 out of like the required tier 5s. I unfortunately don't have enough money to actually try and be able to afford anything. I didn't actually farm at all during this game. I figured that my teammates would just give me some money and just farm hard enough, and they did farm very hard. Half the screen is covered in marketplaces, so that was pretty cool. Alright, so player 4 actually ended up selling the majority of his farms to actually be able to afford a makeshift ninja Paragon. And degree 1 actually pretty much soloed the 3rd tier Bloonarius, so that was actually kind of impressive on my part. When I saw that, I was like, you know, is degree 1 even going to be enough to actually be able to solo like elite tier 3 of elite Bloonarius? Seeing as, you know, again, you do want like degree 20 or more. If you don't know, Paragons get like a huge power spike every 20 degrees. So definitely if you can go for like 20, 40, 60 or 80 if you're doing like co-op, you definitely should try and go for that. I'm not really sure if it's worth getting a max degree Paragon, seeing as it requires a lot of effort. You're going to have to spam a lot of towers, and as well as, you know, farm a lot of pops. So you probably won't be able to get max degree Paragon until like tier 4 maybe. So I think you need like 16 million pops or something like that for actually a degree 100 Paragon. And another interesting thing is that Glaive Lord isn't even necessary at this point. Like the Seeking Shurikens from Ninja Paragon is like sniping all the ceramics, and I was like, wow, it's actually kind of impressive. I didn't even know that the ceramics, or not the ceramics, these like shurikens actually seeked that far for Ninja Paragon. But I guess it is to be expected, you know, it is a Paragon. If it didn't seek that far, you know, it'd be a wee bit disappointing. Alright, and with that, tier 3 also goes down fairly easily. Definitely did need that makeshift Ninja Paragon for, well, definitely would have lost this one here. Temple did not have enough in it, although I guess, you know, it didn't really have any major buffs, like, you know, Ultra Boost. Homeland, it just had like Perma Brew, and that was just kind of about it, so again, it was to be sort of expected. Alright, so tier 4 was the same thing again. We just got a degree 74, you know, Ninja Paragon this time around. And I think this is the highest I've actually gotten for a Ninja Paragon. I didn't really use Ninja Paragon a little too much. I think I like did like one free play with it when like it first came out, you know, to see what it does. And that was just kind of the only thing I really did with Ninja Paragon. So again, that's just kind of about it. Ninja Paragon did fantastic for tier 4, even though it was only like degree 74, although I say only, and that's like more than halfway for, you know, like being max power. So again, just kind of a waiting game at this point. It was a bit laggy, so it did take a little while, so I just kind of sat back and just kind of watched the chaos. Although for you guys, it went by pretty quick, as you know, I sped up the footage by 3x. Alright, so for the last tier of Bloonarius, we ended up only getting a degree 77 Ninja Paragon. Probably because we didn't really farm too many pops, but you know, degree 77 is still pretty good. That's only 1 degree over, you know, what you can actually get max, but again, it just kind of is whatever. So here we start setting up our Sun Temple simply just because there's no way that Ninja Paragon was gonna be able to solo this last tier Bloonarius. Tier 5 of like Elite Co-op Bloonarius has over 40 million, has 64 million HP, and I genuinely don't think that Ninja Paragon is gonna be able to like do that solo. So yeah, definitely, you know, it's a good thing we didn't really stick to the whole can like beating like elite with only ninjas, as again we probably wouldn't have been able to just straight up kind of do it. So yeah, so I guess it kind of worked out in the end. So here we are going for our Vengeful True Sun God, and just kind of hoping that that plus support was going to be more than enough in order to actually beat the last tier. Alright, so for the last tier of Bloonarius is basically just ninja and like True Sun God, you know, with as much support as humanly possible. So again, I was kind of surprised, you know, since I don't really go for temples, you know, too much. I remember seeing this and just thinking like, wow, you know, like Berserker Brew was only $750, and I think Homeland was only like 36k, and so it was just kind of like wild to me, you know, seeing like these like dirt cheap prices. Kind of makes me imagine, like, you know, imagine playing BT6 with, you know, Homeland only costing like 36k, and that'd be kind of fun to see. Of course, you know, that'd make the game, you know, just like brain dead easy, but I guess like maybe like kind of a one-time thing. It would be kind of funny to see like all this stuff you could afford by, you know, around 100. So even though this footage is sped up, you know, 4x, it still does take a bit of a long time to actually kill the final tier Bloonarius. Really did underestimate just like how much 64 million HP was going to be, as like even like a degree 77 like ninja and like a max buffed Vengeful True Sun God is still, you know, just like taking a long time to end up popping this. So kind of a big reason that I find boss moves boring is, you know, same strategy. This like elite bosses aren't possible unless you're going for like the strongest damaging towers, like, you know, support temple, like temples, paragons, and all that. And like beginning paragons aren't really that fun either, as it's just kind of spam, you know, just towers all over the map in order to get as high as degree as possible, and you won't even know what degree it becomes unless you actually upgrade that, which can be kind of annoying. Another thing is that, you know, since, you know, elite Bloonarius has such like a large amount of HP, there's no variation in strategy. You know, you can try something different for the lower tiers, but by doing so, you like end up risking, you know, not being able to have enough money to afford stuff by the higher tiers, which is why, you know, Tax Zone and like Tax Zone plus some minor support so popular, or Sticky Bomb Mail is also another popular option, because those are some of the cheapest options that you can do for tier 1. You know, and like a couple grand, you know, does make a huge difference. You know, if you do play bosses, you'll probably know that, is that, you know, like 2 grand, like wasting 2 grand in the early game can really like screw you over for the late game. Like even though 2 grand may not sound like a lot, it's like a huge snowball effect. So hopefully maybe, you know, NK maybe, you know, changes something. Maybe Vortex will be different. You can actually try out some interesting strategies for like some other tiers, but for now, paragons and bosses are just kind of uninteresting.